So as many of you guys know from the last video where we talked a lot about how the fact that several major companies are now officially laying off or announced layoffs to about tens of thousands of workers, and we're talking about very big companies again like Facebook, Meta, they go by Meta now, but Amazon, Twitter, Coinbase, Robinhood have actually announced that they're going to be laying off a lot of people going forward, which is expected that even more companies, even especially smaller companies, are probably going to be doing similar. So in today's video, what I really want to do is just to talk about 5 things to maybe do if you are someone that by any chance either has already sadly lost your job or is afraid of losing your job or is thinking about maybe quitting or changing your job to something else, and you're just interested in preparing for the unemployment situation that's going to potentially happen. So we're going to get started, but as always, real fast, just really quick, if you guys enjoy videos like this, remember to smash the like button if you guys hopefully do, because it does help to share support. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell, and as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about honestly just really anything. So that being said, let's just get started right on the spot. So the first thing that you're really going to want to focus if you do end up losing your job or you're preparing for the fact you might lose your job is going to be the relative obvious, but it's still important to bring it out there, which is going to be improving the actual job hunting related process that you're probably going to be going through. So what this involves is, for example, is that you're probably going to want to spend some time to do things such as like updating your resume, creating a LinkedIn account, and then or updating your LinkedIn account if, say, for example, you already have a LinkedIn account, practicing for your interviews, preparing cover letters, everything in that particular world. That's probably going to be the obvious, but nonetheless important to mention. The first thing that you're really going to have to focus on if you are someone that has sadly lost your job at this time. So you can even treat it almost like your new job is to look for a job. It's a very stressful job in a lot of ways, but nonetheless, it is probably the best option or the best way to kind of combat that, at least at this current time. Now, the next one might be a little bit more controversial, but I still think it's relatively important. And the reason it's controversial is because there is a movement going on social media about how, for some reason, people are praising the hard work culture where people should just grind, wake up early, especially in the entrepreneurial finance community. But I still think at the end of the day, as much as it is to work hard, it's also very important to rest, to kind of just rest up. And this might not be a bad time to do so, because the big idea is that keep in mind that back when many people are employed, there are a lot of people that are currently working a job but are very tired. They're, working hours a day. They're working maybe 60 hours a week, maybe even up to 80 hours a week. They're just grinding through. They work in the office. They come home and they work at home. They work and think about work when they're on the street. And it's just going on like an endless cycle. One of the most freeing things maybe about the fact that you might be unemployed or about to enter unemployment is that hopefully you're able to gain the silver lining gift of having a lot of free time. And with more free time means that it might not be a bad time to try to maybe at least enjoy life a bit. I know it might be a little bit difficult depending on your particular life situation, but at the end of the day, I always tell people is that as important as work is, even if you actually really love your job, it's also just as important to find balance and to be able to rest. And at this current time, it's a pretty reasonable time to be able to do that, at least certainly in some level of balance while you're doing your job hunting. And it'll probably be a great way to kind of at least stress relieve, to give you some motivation to kind of do other things so you don't fully burn out from everything that's going on. So you're actually improving your odds of doing a lot of things by doing this, but it's just important to put it out there. Now, the third next thing that you really want to do is really everything about improving your finances. And I think that's one of the biggest things, because when you're working on a very limited budget, it's going to be very particularly important now that you're able to kind of balance through and think about where you should really be spending your money, where you should be maybe potentially cutting costs through, and all of that stuff related. I did make a video a real while back, and also a playlist, if anything, of videos talking talking a little bit about how to save money and just tips and tricks to that. So highly recommend. It'll be at the very end screen on the top. I'll put it at the top, probably somewhere on the top, so you guys can check out both those videos. One's a playlist, one's a video about specifically saving money. But the big idea is that everything related to finance, this might be a time to try to get things in order. Whether this is to actually improve the physical finance that you're currently going through, or to maybe improve the knowledge that you have in the world of personal finance. So maybe this is about like learning how to invest. I do have links down below. It'll be at the top of the description if you're interested in getting some free money. So who doesn't love some free money? I mean, I certainly love free money. There are links to sign up for Webull and Robinhood. Highly recommend. If you sign up under those links, you're going to be able to get several free stocks worth up to several $100 last I checked, but they keep changing their promotion. But nonetheless, it's free money and it'll get you started on your journey of investing. Because the big idea is that improving your finances, whether this is about learning how to invest, whether this is about learning to manage money, to save money, credit cards, everything in that world, that's one of the greatest and most life-changing skills that you can learn and might even need to learn, if anything, for survival related reasons if you are someone that happens to now find yourself unemployed at that current time period. Now, the fourth thing that you might consider potentially doing, and this is especially true if you happen to be in a very particularly vibrant city, like in my case, I happen to be in New York, is to potentially look for a job at a temp agency. Because a lot of temp agencies, they're places where you can find work, and a lot of the requirements that they have, because they know they're temporary jobs, obviously the turnover rate's going to be very high. The requirements are typically relatively low. They're typically jobs that you can kind of just get hired on the spot or near someone on the spot within just a couple of days, work like a regular freelance gig, and then just exit because they know that a lot of this stuff is going to be relatively temporary, as the name suggests. You might maybe even consider trying to start a business, maybe as like a bonus tip. So that is just something, I know not every single person is up for starting businesses, but if that is something of interest, you can definitely consider using this as a chance to maybe try to venture off and start your own business, out of the logic that, you know, maybe this was a case where it's like, maybe you didn't like your old company, maybe you didn't like your old job, so you can kind of send a screw you, you know, we don't want to do that. Instead, we're going to start our own company and create the place that we would have wanted to work in. So going in the entrepreneurial route, or going into the freelance route, or going into the temp agency route, that is another option you can very much potentially consider as well. And then the last big tip that you can potentially look into trying to do if you find yourself out of work or preparing to be out of work soon is going to be less common than I think a lot of people have mentioned, but is really about the name of this channel, which is going to be to journal. And I know this sounds a little bit funny, but I think that one of the biggest things is that if you've ever tried journaling, or if you maybe already have a journal, then feel free to comment down how this has maybe impacted your life. And it doesn't have to necessarily be good. It just really depends. It can be an honest opinion about how journaling has impacted your life. But I do believe that for the overwhelming majority of people, journaling can be one of the greatest tools that you can potentially have to really be able to bring clarity to your life, to really be able to kind of think about your values, what you want, to maybe reflect. And so you can use this to think about where you want to go going forward when it comes to the world of your own career. So for example, maybe you want to end up deciding to change careers. Maybe you're thinking about what kind of job you even physically want. Maybe you want to just try to list out the jobs or companies that you can potentially work in, what you want out of a job. I think that by journaling, this is going to be an incredible way to bring a lot of clarity to your life, to really learn about yourself, learn about work, learn about career, learn about goals, learn about self, everything in that particular world. I think it can potentially be very life-changing. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, but maybe that's because this is something that I do, and because it's the basis of why this channel name or this whole thing even came to be. It was because it started with a journal, and I think that's really the big idea about it. So with that being said, hopefully this kind of covers 5 things that you can potentially do if you lose your job. If you guys found that insightful, as always, remember to smash the like button. Otherwise, feel free to leave a comment if anything, or you can leave a comment regardless if anything. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos like this. Feel free to browse other past videos we've made. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, try to stay employed, but if you're not employed, embrace certain silver linings that might come from unemployment, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.